Thank you, Mark. I am so happy to be here. And as Mark so beautifully shared with us, it's the 15th of Av, Tu B'Av, and love just is present with us naturally here today. We have the energy of that flow. So you might take a moment just to look at the faces that are here and scroll through the pages, give a smile and a blessing. And I want to thank our sponsor, Leora Gale, very much for sponsoring in memory of her husband, Alan. And I want to thank Mark, who holds this space so beautifully each and every day. And I want to thank all of you for being here. Because as I say in yoga on Mondays too, this space is so much more powerful than each of us individually. Some of us come here every day and we know what is created here for our own lives and for tikkun in the world. And for anyone who's brand new, fasten your seatbelt, because what's created here is a really important energy of love, of chesed, that we are collective. It's so much greater than anything we ever imagined when we began this. It's so much bigger than all of us. Thank you for the hearts. That's great. It's really true. So I want to ride the energy of that day a little. And some of you know I'm super into the moon. I even have a moon app, and maybe you've seen the moon as it's been growing into fullness. And last night was 99.8% of moon. And so special. So I hope you have gotten a chance to see the moon grow, and you'll see it as it wanes. I want to offer my teaching today to the spirit of my beautiful animal, my dog Lenny, who is heading off to the Rainbow Bridge tomorrow. For those of you who know and love animals, you know what that means. And for those of you who don't even know that expression, in plain terms, euthanasia tomorrow. And I say that because maybe you can recall a beloved, whether it's a pet, a human, an elder, someone to just hold in your heart today. It's also going to be part of my teaching about how we have life experience. So let's just take a moment to land, to settle. You might choose to close your eyes, or you might choose to keep them open. You can decide, and you might choose to turn away from the screen entirely. And just allow yourself to feel your bottom in the chair if you're sitting, or if you're supine, to feel your back against the floor, to feel your feet on the floor, to have a sense of your breath coming and going. And if you'd like, you might even take a hand to your heart. So again, since it's Tu B'Av, we can naturally connect to the tenderness, the brokenness, and the fullness of our hearts today. I said to someone this morning who's here on the call, on the Zoom, my tank is low, my heart is full. So just notice, how is it right now? We've already been connecting with our tender and broken hearts through Tisha B'Av. And of course this month is Menachem Av, Av the Comforter. And here we are in this loving space of Tu B'Av. So you can just notice, how is it right now? Is there anything that you are needing to cultivate in this sit? And as you exhale, with each subsequent exhale, maybe just leaving behind a little bit and a little bit of whatever's been going on today or this week, to allow this to be your sacred time for sitting. And as I share some teaching, you can keep your eyes closed if you like, or you can keep them open, you decide. I want to share a little bit of teaching on a few words from Parshat Ekev. And remember, we have Moses here talking to the Israelites in Deuteronomy. It's his voice. And he's recapping and he's talking to us about entering the land, how we're going to enter this beautiful land, and what we have to remember. We have to remember God's instructions, and what if we do and what if we don't. And we have the second paragraph of the Shema, of course, in this Torah portion. And Moses says, for Adonai your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from plain and hills, a land of wheat and barley, figs, vines, olive trees, pomegranates, honey, a land where you may eat food without stint, where you'll lack nothing, etc. When you have eaten your fill, give thanks to your God for the good land which God has given you. Ve'achalta v'savata uverachta Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz hatova asher natan lach. And we recognize that perhaps from Birkat Hamazon, for blessing after meals. And then Moses said, and take care lest you forget when you've eaten your fill and your heart might grow haughty, you might grow arrogant. Make sure you bless. So I want to look at these three words, v'achalta, v'savata, uverachta. And if you were at yoga on Monday, we applied this in our practice. We worked literally on digestion poses for lengthening and opening the abdominal area. And we talked about digestion in the literal sense and also in the sense of digesting our experience. How can we fully be in our experience? So just a moment about these three words. Ve'achalta, eat. Be invested. Do your practice fully. Live your experience fully. Be completely present to the best of your ability, which is, of course, what we're working on, what we're attuning to as we practice. And I'm reminded of the words of Henry David Thoreau. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and to see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not when I came to die discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life. We know that famous quote, to suck out all the marrow of life. So eat, be fully in your experience, be completely invested. And then v'savata, be satisfied. Sova, satisfaction. Notice when you're full. Notice when you're full in your meal, in your appetite. Notice when you're full within your relationships. Sometimes sova means noticing when you're flooded in a conversation. I've had enough, right? And pausing. Let it be enough. Let yourself be enough in your experience. And then uverachta, bless, give thanks. Hoda'ah, give gratitude. This is really, really important. And I learned from Mark, actually, a teaching from the Sfat Emet that says the blessing is actually a corrective here, because when we have eaten and when we have become full, when we have paid off our mortgage and we're doing well and there's plenty of food in the fridge and there's air conditioning and maybe, God willing, we have our second home at the shore, or as we say in Philly, down the shore, we might become complacent. And so the Sfat Emet says, that's this moment where we have to remember that blessing is the corrective, it's the medicine for being fully in our life. And this is where I want to look to this page. What I've highlighted in the yellow is the trope. We think of this as ve'achalta, ve'savata, uverachta, that would be modern Hebrew, as one piece. Eat, be satisfied, bless. It actually says this, ve'achalta, ve'savata, pause. Uverachta Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz hatova asher natan lach. So the point here is ve'achalta, v'savata, and etnachta, that's the cantillation mark, is a pause. You shall eat and you shall be satisfied. We can put the screen away for a sec. Nice to see each other's faces. Thank you, Jordan. Eat, be satisfied, pause. I want to take this instruction into our practice of the breath. I'm going to suggest a breath practice, but I want to say off the bat, if you know ahead that working with the breath does not work for you, or if at any point it's agitating for you or aggravating, choose another anchor. That might be, I love to use sensation in the palms of the hands. It might be the feeling of your feet on the floor. It might be something else. But I'd like to suggest the following, that ve'achalta, you shall eat, is the inhale. Fully partake in your experience of the inhale. And then notice, I'm full. My belly, my ribs, my upper chest, I'm full. And we might even pause and retain the breath at the top, if that may work for you and it may not, to retain the breath for a moment. I'm full. I'm noticing, I'm complete. I've taken in a whole experience. I'm satisfied. I pause there. That's the etnachta. And then, uverachta Adonai Elohecha. And then, uverachta, I will bless by letting the breath go, by exhaling. I'll be grateful for the exhale. So I invite you into this practice. And again, you can keep the eyes open or closed as you wish. And just begin to feel the breath coming and going. And now we might try on this practice for size. Ve'achalta, I completely inhale. I take it in. I'm so present in my experience. V'savata, and I'm full. I'm full of life force, chiyut, prana, whatever you call it. My experience is rich, and I pause there. And I notice the top of the breath. Uverachta, and I let it out. I bless. I say thank you on the exhale. So breathing in, feeling that fullness, pausing, breathing out. Again and again, we can try this. So you might choose to use the three words, ve'achalta, ve'savata, uverachta. You may choose more simply in, pause, X. Try this on, see how it works for you over the course of a few cycles. Ve'achalta, ve'savata, uverachta. Inhale, pause, retain, satisfied, exhale. And you can keep that going. And I've been imagining as we move through this week, sometimes I remember to take my own teachings. These three words are like mantra. They're like just a companion phrase to guide through the week, a kavanah. So as I'm in the experience with my beautiful companion Lenny, who will be ending his life very soon, I'm remembering as I breathe in, he's had a full, beautiful life, 15 years. I pause and I savor it. And then I allow myself the difficulty of loving but letting go, exhaling. So over these next minutes of silence, I encourage you to take this in a direction you wish. It could be repeating the 3 Hebrew words. It could be repeating instructions for breath. It could be simply holding in your heart someone or some being that you love so much that you know someday you will let go of. Investigate for yourself how this is. And we'll sit quietly. You can check in with the body and with the breath and with the mind. Notice, where's the mind? And perhaps gently calling yourself back to this practice. Inhaling, yachalta. Pausing with fullness, vasavata. Exhaling with gratitude and blessing, uverachta. Returning, re-relaxing. As we complete our sit, I want to share words from Thich Nhat Hanh of blessed memory. If you truly get in touch with a piece of carrot, you get in touch with the soil, the rain, the sunshine. You get in touch with Mother Earth, and eating in such a way, you feel in touch with true life, your roots, and that is meditation. If we chew every morsel of our food in that way, we become grateful. And when you are grateful, you are happy. So as you're ready, you can complete your next exhale and open the eyes if they were closed. And a reminder that food is the pshat, right? And as we go to Drash Remez Sod, chew every morsel, live every moment, suck the marrow out of life. Be so present that when it's done and when that final exhale happens, we can do it with hoda'ah, with gratitude. So toda rabah, thank you everybody. I'll say a little more in the Q&A about the breath practice and where it arises from. I turn it back to Mark so we can say Kaddish Yatom.
Toda rabah to you, Cantor, Lizzie, Shammash. Just wonderful practice and teaching today, and look forward to exploring it with you during the Q&A in a few minutes. I do want to mention, and once again, thank Leora Gale for sponsoring today's set in loving memory of her husband, Alan Sherwin Gale, whose yahrzeit was yesterday on the calendar, August 1st. And Leora, may his memory be for a blessing. Alan was known for his integrity, his beautiful open heart. He was a mentor for both men and boys and volunteered over 20 years, showing up throughout his illness as long as he was able. He was a patient teacher of high technology with a great and tireless sense of humor, had the capacity to support others when they were most vulnerable, and met everyone he met exactly where they were with attention, respect, and equality. Zichrono livracha, may his memory be a blessing. May all those who are being remembered by those who are reciting Kaddish today be remembered as a blessing and for good. And Leora, thank you so much for honoring his beautiful soul today. And friends, if you would like to put the name or names of those you're honoring in the chat, and if you're not reciting Kaddish, of course, we encourage you just to stay present and offer your support and presence for those who are, who I invite to join me by rising in body or in spirit. And you can unmute at this time as we recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, and thanks to Jordan for sharing the words on the screen. Yitgadal, Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ma Divrach, Yudutei, V'Yamlichutei, V'Chayefon, V'Mechon, V'Chayei Techovei Israel, V'Agalah, Yizman Karim, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Omer Maya, Barach, Yistabach, Yitba'ah, Aman, V'Naseh, Yitzhak, Lav, Shemei, Ilam, B'chata, V'Shivata, B'chata, V'Nechamata, B'Amavim
Shlama
V'Amen,
Rabban
Rabban,
Chayim Aleinu V'Yoko Yisrael, Amen.
Shalom Nimramav, Huyase Shvish, Shalom Aleinu, Kol Yisrael, Yoshvei Tevel, Imru, Amen.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to thank our teacher for today, Cantor Lizzie Shammash, for stepping in and offering, as always, just beautiful and personal words of Torah and grounding our practice in love so beautifully today. Thank you, Lizzie. And thanks to Jordan Pollack for holding our space with grace and skill. And of course, thanks to Leora. Leora, thank you so much for sponsoring our practice today in loving memory of your husband, Alan Sherwin Gale, Zichrono Livracha, may his memory be a blessing. You're welcome. Those of you who are leaving us now, we hope you'll join us tomorrow. We'll be led in practice tomorrow by another wonderful Jewish mindfulness meditation teacher, Dr. David Gottlieb from Spertus Institute in Chicago, who's a beautiful teacher. And I will be leading us on Friday to sit into Shabbat together. We hope you join us then. Our tomorrow's sit will be hosted by our dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Miriam Klotz. And I'll look forward to seeing you again on Friday. And if you're staying on, of course, you're always welcome to put reflections on your experience in the chat. If you're asking a question for Lizzie, if you would please preface it by writing a question. Lots and lots of activity in the chat. I'm going to try to keep an eye on this. Lots of appreciation, Lizzie. Just warms my heart. Warms my heart. That was great. Thank you so much. And I want to offer comfort, condolences for this transition for Lenny and for you, and just tremendous admiration for how you brought that home. Thank you.
There you go, people who
my
like
God.
images. That was last night. That's our boy. Thanks for your good wishes.
Well, thank you for opening your heart on that, Lizzie, and just sending you lots of prayers for all you need and for comfort and sweetness in this transition for him and for you. Well, for Klimt here. Okay.
You want me to jump in?
No, it's okay. Like, I'm supposed to hold it together here. Okay. Okay. So I just love what you did with the breath meditation. So I don't know. I always have like two questions. I'm going to throw two at a time here for you. If don't have to remember the second, I'll remind you. But one has to do with the adaptation, like you did mention for people for whom breathing, having the breath be the anchor if it's problematic, what to do when that happens. So I just want to invite you to revisit that for a minute. But in terms of that, the flow of the practice based on that phrase from the Torah portion, achalta, ingest fully take in, fully receive this moment. But what I'm interested in is the second word, the savata. I can't remember now. The word you used is eluding me, other than satisfaction or satiation. But there was another word you used, savor. I think it was savor.
Yeah, savor, and also
Savor.
let it be enough.
Yeah. So that what I want to zero in on here is that, yeah, it's easy. Like if we were talking about a great meal, right? Where savor the great meal, but the example you brought was this passage for Lenny, and heart, heart opening and heartbreaking and just like an explosion of love and loss all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I really just I find that astounding and beautiful, and I want to stay with that. I don't want to like pass over that.
Right.
And I don't even know if there are words for it, really, frankly. I just want to lift up that it's remarkable to think about that verb, which has to do with being satisfied with what is.
Right.
Even when what is not necessarily what you wish it would be.
Even
So
when what is so difficult to bear. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's it. No, we're the same way. You're just finishing my sentence, which is
I do have a few thoughts, and I was really deliberate about sharing this vulnerability today, and chose to do it because I think that we only practice and teach in the context of our lives, and so if we don't share the details with each other as teachers in some way, I think we're not being fully in our practice and disclosing, and it's a very vulnerable way to be, but it's so true. So I think Mark's question is related to what Lori put in here, which said, would you please talk to how this practice may be used to integrate and transform difficult or negative experiences.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I think it has to do, and I want to say that regarding Lenny, this has been really difficult. This animal has been with me since the beginning of my time in Philadelphia. He proceeds as a companion for me before my husband came into my life, and the letting go has been just torturous. And it was really on Monday afternoon that I said, hey, Lizzie, you could listen to your own teaching. What did you teach this morning in yoga? And I think we're always learning in our practice to not resist, So it's like, can I take it in, when I take it in fully and I hold it, and I know that it's impermanent. There's some amount of satisfaction when we don't block, when we really, really fully. And so I turned, instead of resisting, because I knew I needed to call the euthanasia vet. There was a real turn. There was no more anger. There was no more denial. There was a real sitting in the joy of his life, of life review, of our life together, our time together. And I want to, so I think that's a piece of it. Can we take it? And anyone who's been on a retreat, perhaps in an extended way, you notice in about day 3 or 4, tears are just streaming down your face nonstop. And you notice that your heart is so full. And then also you might be working through something that's been so hard. And the heart feels this incredible just immensity of all of the stuff. And I think the only thing we can do is live in our practice. I'm showing this book. It's Mr. Iyengar's Light on Pranayama. So pranayama is the art of breath. Prana is life force, chiyut. Ayama means extension, yama. So extension of chiyut, extension of life force. So breath practices, deliberate breath practices, are part of the yogic path. And we have retentions. Retention is called kumbhaka. We have them sometimes inhale, retain, exhale. Sometimes exhale, retain, inhale. And they have different qualities. And this is what Mr. Iyengar says about the quality of retention after inhale. In this state, the retention, one is completely absorbed in the object of one's devotion and isolated from the world, experiencing a feeling of joy and peace which passes understanding. One is in tune with the infinite. That's from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So a sense of sova is this like fullness, right? When we talk about emptiness and fullness, right? The quality of retention up here versus the quality of retention after the exhale is different. So whether good or bad, whether heart-wrenching or heart, blowing in the positive sense, can we hold it and cultivate that aspect of total absorption, at one with this lifetime, at one with the infinite? That's all I got.
That's, I'm satisfied with that.
And maybe on Yom Kippur, for instance, I would encourage an investigation of what's that retention after the exhale.
What do you mean by yeah, can we talk about that for a minute? So, well, I was going to ask you first, what in that passage, is he talking about kind of holding the breath after, like pausing the breath after the inhale?
Yeah.
There's a pause.
Yeah, there's a pause.
That's a practice, as opposed to just allowing the breath to flow naturally without a pause.
Correct.
The purpose of the pause is to have this moment of absorption, of being completely flush with what has been ingested. Right? Correct.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then letting it go.
Yeah. And
it's like it's almost like metabolizing it, so that it becomes timeless in that metabolization. Like, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but it's almost like, well, like if it's a loss, if it involves a loss, it's just an awareness of the way, I guess you just said this, or he wrote this, there's a fusion, a moment of fusion there where the object or the subject of the loss is really like you are with that, with the full experience, and it is you, and it's it loses its separate identity, or it's to some extent, like there's some awareness of the transcendence of that, of each being. I don't know.
I love how you put that.
And I'm like,
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I mean, he used the word absorption.
mm-hmm.
Um, um, I lost the page again, but absolutely. And so when we just follow the breath in and out, we begin to notice after a few cycles, there is natural suspension. After I say the top because I'm filling in, right? Opening, and there's natural suspension at the bottom when everything's got exhaled out. So suspension is kind of a natural course, right? And retention is just amplifying that a little bit. Maybe some of you have some experience with what's called these days box breathing, where you might inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. That's a form again of kumbhaka and retention. So the retentions can be deliberate after the inhale, deliberate after the exhale, and you can count them. But I like to just work with the breath that's as it's naturally coming and going. It's less fussy, at least as a beginning practice.
Which goes back to the question about breath. When breath is problematic for people. Your suggestions for people for whom it may be dysregulating to be focusing on the breath, or is there in that practice, is there some equivalent in terms of awareness of body or sensation or anything else?
Yeah, again, I love using sensation, and it might be different for everyone. You know, for me, sensation is so strong when I choose to tune in. Sensation in the palms of the hands is so strong. So I like to work with my palms on my thighs, facing up, and just sensing sensation and air. For others, that you might be sensation in other places in the body. But I think ve'achalta is like really noticing deeply sensation. I am alive. Halo chai ani. Right? And Sova is, oh, I'm flush with that aliveness.
Yeah.
Wowzer. Uverachta. And I'm so grateful for it. So that might come, again, I mean, we're working creatively. So if I'm working with sensation, maybe I would find 3 words individually that point, you know, for my own practice that makes sense for me. Or just, you know, noticing. It could even be like noticing, holding, blessing.
Beautiful. Lizzie, we're at time. Just want to take the last minute here to, I'm sure on behalf of everyone here, just to channel appreciation for today, for this teaching, for all you have done for over, you know, whatever it is, 3.5 years. It's insane.
It's insane.
3.5 years of, you know, the yoga practice on Mondays, and occasionally blessing us, you know, leading us in the daily sit as well. And just the presence that you have brought, may you feel it all come back to you tomorrow, now and tomorrow, and always in spades, and may you absorb all that love and support from everyone here. And long live Lenny.
Long live Lenny's memory. And again, thank you all. Thank you, Mark, and thank you all. And really a reminder, I just can't say it enough. This space is precious. Keep coming, keep sharing it with friends. My mind is blown every Monday when I tune in. You know, I'm the teacher, Mark is the teacher we're holding, but I think we get the most blessing of anyone. So keep coming, keep holding this space for tikkun for all of us and for the world. It's just so much bigger than you can know.
Amen.
Amen.
All right,
Bye,
everyone.
Shavua Tov.
Thank you so much, Lizzie, and thanks Jordan, and thanks Leora for sponsoring us. Thanks each of you for being here, and we'll hope to see you tomorrow.